Hey guys, welcome back to Honey in the Rock. I'm Sophie and this is Lauren. So Lauren and I worked camp together this summer, but we had a mutual friend. We had a mutual best friend.
Yeah,
So we knew of each other, and so she was my safe person when I got to camp.
literally.
So that worked out perfectly.
Right.
Um, but now we're home from camp and she's a fiance.
No, they can't see my ring, but
Hey,
pretend.
some people can see it.
Okay, well, here she is.
So this is so exciting.
Yay!
She got engaged to on the beach.
Yes, I did.
By the one and only Carson. He
Yes,
did great work.
he did good. I'm
He
so
did
proud of
so
him.
good. That's just like also makes going home from camp so much easier.
Yeah, it did.
Because
Especially
then
going
you,
to the beach with my family. It wasn't like going straight home. But then,
yes,
like, he surprised me the last half of the week, and I was like, oh, this is perfect.
right.
And yeah, one thing after another, here we are, a whole fiance.
Next thing you're in, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so we kind of said this. So we met at camp. She was our financial director, so she was our money mama.
Yes, ma'am.
And she did it with so much humility
Oh,
and took care of us so well. It was actually like so cool to see because like her position was like not isolating, but like at some points you had to do things by yourself.
yeah.
And she like genuinely did it without complaining. And like
You're
we didn't always know what she had to do for us. And she would do so many things for us. And she just did it with so much grace and kindness. So that was really cool. Because I feel like a lot of things, well, something I learned this summer is like, what does it look like to serve expecting nothing in return? But then, like, where we were serving, we were still seeing these, like, our Bible study kids right in front of us. But then, like, you were serving expecting nothing in return so we could do our job.
Yeah.
And so you probably even, like, saw less in return
Yeah.
and you still did it with such grace. So that was really cool. I never told you that. So
That's
good.
precious.
Okay, tell us a little bit about camp. What did you learn this summer at camp? Or just in general camp life?
Yeah.
Because
So
that's
this
your
was
three.
my third summer working camp. My first summer, I did the same job that Sophie did. I was a Bible study leader for middle school. And then last year, I was in MTL. So I did the MFUD side of camp, which was a lot more like ministry project based. And I had all grades, which was also really, really sweet. And then I thought I was going to be done with camp. Woke up the last morning of camp in 2024 and felt such a burden in my heart and was like, I know I'm not done, but I was so dead set on I knew I was going to probably be getting engaged this summer. So I was like, I need one summer at home, like with my family. I haven't had one since going to college. So, like, this is my year to be at home, soak in those moments with my family. But it became very evident that that was my plan and not the Lord's, and that the Lord had more for me at camp. And so I prayed through what the Lord had for me. And it became evident that each year I had done something different. And I always said that I wouldn't do a director position until I had seen both sides of camp. And the Lord had opened up the door for both sides of camp to be served on. And so um, when the application came out, I was like, well, let's just see what happens. It won't happen. Lots of people apply. Especially at North Greenville. It was pretty much a North Greenville or nothing thing for me. I go to school there, and so it's really, really sweet to get to do ministry there during the summer as well. And not that I wasn't open to doing it other places, I just felt like that's where the Lord was calling me. And so if that's a door that was shut, then that was a shut door for me.
Right.
And one thing after another, I was placed at North Greenville to be the financial director as an elementary education major. That was a little intimidating. I was like, I don't know how to do this, but we're gonna learn.
1 plus 1.
1 plus 1 is 2, and that's all I know. Um, and so it was a little intimidating, but I knew that the Lord would not place me in something that He wasn't going to equip me for as we went, that I didn't have to feel super ready going into it. All I had to do was say yes. And so that's exactly what I did. Got to program training and was like, this is my element. I'm stressed, but this is great. Like, I
Right.
love the spreadsheets, I love all the numbers. It's so fun. And so it did look a lot different. I didn't have a Bible study. So I wasn't serving the students, but I got to serve a lot of behind the scenes to set up not only my staff well, but also the adults that were coming in the future weeks. Just even like to counting missions money, like setting up Lifeway in general well to
Right.
like make missions deposits and like sending money to Ethiopia. And so I had to remind myself that with every dollar bill that I counted, like it had a purpose, whether it was going to Ethiopia or it was going to Utah or it was going to Lifeway to allow a student next summer to like be presented the gospel for the first time.
Right.
It took me a few weeks to get in the routine and to be able to like have my eyes open to like this is still ministry just
Right.
because I'm not on the front lines and I'm not being seen and I'm not, no one knows what I do on a day to day basis. Like that doesn't mean that my work is unnoticed to the Lord and it can still be
Yes.
done for the Lord's glory. And so
Yeah.
that was the biggest thing that I learned. I wish that I had, um, I am a big prayer journaler. I love journaling my prayers. I wish I
Yeah.
had journaled more so
Mm.
that I could look back on the season, but there was just so many times that I was just driving so much that like that became my little car became my little safe space and my
Yeah.
little place to talk to the
Mhm.
Lord and
Yeah.
be in prayer for what you guys are still doing on campus while I was out and buying
Mhm.
watermelons or
Right.
pies to pie people in the face or
Right.
like everything had a purpose and everything had an intention. And I think
Yeah.
that's um just a testimony to who the Lord is and that He's going to place us places while we may not know exactly why. There's always a purpose and a reason behind it. We just have to be
Yeah.
willing to say
Yeah.
yes and look for the ways that He's going to use it for His glory.
Gosh, that's so good. Um, when during training week we went and like did service, we went together.
Yes.
And we were like going to serve like different places and everyone was going to like okay, they're going to a park and they're going here and they're going here and they were like it seems like frontline ministry almost. And we got put into a church to clean out their
In
attic,
this closet,
a closet.
moldy and dusty old girl.
And I was like, what am I doing?
Yep.
They can clean out their own closet. They have church members to clean out their own closet.
Yep.
Like, I genuinely was like, this is dumb. But obviously, we did it. And like, once I got there, it was fine and we worked hard. And then afterwards, I was like, heart check and
Yeah.
being like, I need to have a heart check with the Lord. And I sat down with him and I was like, why was I so negative about doing that?
Yeah.
And it was like, because you didn't want to see the fruit. And then I was like, okay, well, then what's the reason I'm doing crap?
Right.
Is it for this like reward for myself?
Yeah.
And it was just like so humbling. And honestly, like it sort of changed the way I saw the whole summer and
Yeah.
now life because it was like, okay, we cleaned a closet so they could have students come in
Yep.
and play in that gym.
Yeah.
Okay, so they can share the gospel. If they don't have to clean out the closet, they have more time to do what they
Yes.
need to do.
Yes.
Um, and that's sweet. That's like what your whole summer was.
Yeah.
And just how the Lord can use that is like so incredible.
Yeah. And I think like with today's society, if you're not on the front lines of ministry and you're not
Hmm.
serving in kids and you're not serving on the worship team and you're not a pastor and you're not this or that, it's like your ministry gets looked at as like something that's less than or that it's not ministry in general, but that's just not the case. The Lord calls us to love our neighbor, and for other people that looks different. For
Yes.
me, that's I'm going to be serving in Title One public school. Like to me, that's my mission field. And just
Yep.
because it doesn't, your title isn't missionary or it's not pastor or it's not even Bible study leader, like it doesn't mean that what you do
Yep.
isn't going to have fruit. You may not see that,
Mm.
but at some point, like you have to be at peace with the fact that the Lord is going to work and you don't always have to be in the know. You don't have to know where that fruit is going to go. You don't have to know if you say yes and you do it with a grateful heart, then you have
Right.
to trust that He's going to do what He does
Yep.
best.
Yep. You really do have to trust him with your yes, of being like, here's my yes.
Yeah.
You got it. Okay, sweet. Let's dive into your testimony. And you can start wherever.
Okay. So, I was born in 2004.
No way.
We'll start day one. No, I'm just kidding. I grew up in somewhat of a Christian household. And I say somewhat because it was known that my parents were believers. Um, as a younger kid, I don't remember it being talked about a ton. I do remember my parents being believers and we prayed before meals and all that kind of stuff, but we weren't big church people. My parents split up when I was 10 months old. And so it was just me, my mom, and my sister for a while for the first 5 years of my life. And then she got remarried. And so weekends were very different for me. It was Friday after school. I packed up. I went with my dad. Sunday evening, came home and returned. And my dad wasn't one that prioritized church. And so because of that, we didn't go to church very much. And so I knew who Jesus was. I knew that he loved me. I knew that my parents believed in him, but I didn't fully understand it for myself. Until I was in first grade. My mom and my stepdad enrolled me into a private Christian school where I went my entire life. And I remember sitting on the floor of my first grade classroom with my first grade teacher on Valentine's Day after she just fully presented the gospel to us. And I remember being like, I want that. Like that's somebody that I want to follow. That sounds like just such a cool opportunity. And
Yeah.
it's hard at the age of 7. Like you don't understand the weight of sin. You don't
Right.
understand like some of the things that's going to come through life. But I do believe that in that moment, I understood as much as I could at the age of 7,
Right.
the love that the Lord has for us and that we will indeed mess up our whole life and we
Yeah.
will indeed sin. And so we are in need of a perfect savior. And so I made that decision at 7 years old. And I went through the next few years of my life, thinking that when you become a Christian, that God loves you so much and that you won't have hard times. And that's honestly when life got the hardest. But now looking back, like I just see how the Lord was like paving the way for so many ministry opportunities. In fourth grade, I lost my best friend to cancer. And I remember that kind of spinning the wheel of like, oh my goodness, yes, I believe in the Lord, but why would he do this? Why would he allowed somebody at the age of 9 to pass away, and, like, it
Yeah.
started a lot of doubt from a very young age, and so I went through the next few years of life still trying to like, I wanted to believe, but I also didn't want to believe because I didn't wanna think that, like, a loving God would do something like that.
Mm.
And so when I was in 7th grade, I went to camp, and I just one of the last nights, I just was like I felt this huge tug to be like, okay, I know I believe in the Lord, but I have been living for myself. I've been living based off of things that I feel is right and that like I don't need to go to him to ask, should I do this? Should I not? Like
Right.
I wanted to live for myself. But still have a relationship with him. And so at that point in my life, that's when I was like, okay, that's not how this works. And I finally felt like I understood the weight of sin. And
Right.
so I some people have problems with the word rededicate, but I, at that point in my life, fully committed to, Lord, this is my life. You have placed the breath in my lungs, so I'm going to live for you.
Yes.
And that week, I thought that that's all the Lord was going to have for me.
Mm.
But the next night, I felt a huge tug to ministry. Had no idea what that was going to look like. I was terrified. I was crying. I remember saying to the camp counselor, look, I don't want to be a pastor of any sort. So I don't know how to do ministry and not be a pastor. I remember her grabbing my hands and looking me in the eyes and saying, Lauren, there's so much more to ministry than being a pastor. And I can't wait to see what the Lord has for you. And I
Mm.
didn't know what that meant. I was just like, okay, well, I'm going to go through life. And so
Right.
from that moment on, I went through my typical middle school, high school girl phase of chasing after boys and chasing after attention and popularity.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it was always directed back to the fact that the Lord is where my identity is placed, and the
Mm.
Lord is where I can be fulfilled and where I can be satisfied. And that was
Mm.
a tough lesson to learn with each boy that came and with each
Yep.
friendship that ended,
Yep.
learning that the Lord was the constant and the Lord was our rock to stand on.
Yep.
And so when I was in 10th grade, COVID happened and the world shut down. And it was 2 weeks after I had my youth pastor had approached me and been like, Lauren, I think I want to start a youth praise team. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll run slides. I'll run sound. Like, you tell me what you need me to do. And he
Right.
was like, no, I want you to sing. And I was like, that's wild. I don't sing.
Don't say it.
And he was like, no, but I think you could. And I was like, I think you're crazy. And he was like, let's just click on this. Like, let's see.
Right.
And so for 2 weeks, I absolutely fell in love with leading worship. And it wasn't something that I ever saw coming for my life. I
Yep.
knew my whole life I wanted to be a teacher. And so when singing came out of nowhere, I was like, okay,
Right.
this is clearly a talent that the Lord has given me that I'm going to run with.
Right.
And then COVID happened. And I became really depressed and I became really anxious. And that was when in my life I felt like um, things started kind of going downhill as far as mentally, and that's been an uphill battle ever since. But the one thing that I had in that season to turn to in the midst of COVID, in the midst of losing friendships, in the midst of not being able to go to school or church or whatever it was, like the one thing that I had to turn to was worship music. And I remember sitting in the floor, just crying and listening to, oh, I can't even remember the name of the song. Oh, it was Here Again. and it was saying, "I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again?" And I remember thinking, like, I'm going to let that be my anthem for life. Like, I'm going to let that be, I'm not enough unless you come and unless you do it in me. So will you meet me here again, knowing that I don't have much to bring, but you're going to meet me where I am and you're going to use it for your glory. And so from that moment on, I joined the praise team at my church, my school, um, and started looking at scholarship opportunities within college because I felt a huge tug to worship ministry at that point, but I still wanted to be a teacher. And so
Yeah.
found out about North Greenville. I made it onto Joyful Sound, which is where I met our mutual friend,
Yeah.
Mariah. Um, and I truly felt like when I got into North Greenville, I couldn't afford it. And so it was, if I made Joyful Sound, I was going to go. And if I didn't, then the Lord was going to open up a door somewhere else. And so he opened it up and made it evident that I just needed to walk through it and trust it. And so
Yeah.
I did. And I kind of felt like within Joyful Sound, I was like, okay, I like leading worship. Like, I do feel like I am fulfilling my call to ministry in some way, shape, or form, but I still have this desire to teach. And I still don't feel like this is fully where I'm supposed to be. Like, I don't feel like this is the full picture of ministry, but I don't know what that's going to look like. So I continued to just pray through options. And I came in my freshman year dating somebody who, no, nothing bad to say about him. We just had two different styles of life, and I wanted to chase after the Lord wholeheartedly and pursue ministry, and that just wasn't his route that he wanted to take. And so we split ways, and I had to trust that the Lord was going to provide within that. And a few weeks later, I met my now fiance. And within one of the very first conversations that we had, he had asked me what I was reading in my quiet time, and like first conversation we'd ever have. And I was like, who is this? I love him already. But actually, I didn't say that. But
Right.
um,
Kind of.
him what he was doing, like what his life goal was. And he was like, I'm on mission for the Lord. And I don't know where that's going to take me, but I do know that I have a call to worship ministry. And I'm going to use my talents and abilities for the Lord. And I remember that moment 2 days after meeting him, I was like, this is the man I'm going to marry. And I literally have a video of me saying it. I was like, January 20th, 2023, this is the man I'm going to marry. And
That's perfect.
2.5 years later, we are engaged and we are pursuing a life of worship ministry together. And I realized, kind of like how we learned this summer, like just because the Lord has given me a talent to use doesn't mean that I have to be on the front lines using it. So just because I wanted to teach doesn't mean I have to teach Bible study every year within camp. Just
Right.
because I love leading worship doesn't mean I have to be on the front lines of leading worship. Like, I get to be a worship pastor's wife, and I get to um and honestly, that's one of the sweetest forms of ministry, is like I get to be a pastor's wife and allow him to have the space to pastor his people well, and open up my home to whatever that looks like. And so my life has been up and down and all around, but um, the main thing that I can say, like throughout my entire life, is like the Lord would allow things to happen, and I didn't understand why, or I didn't understand this feeling, or I didn't understand this or that, but He would always show up and He would always say, hey, this is exactly where it points back to. This is me preparing your way. And this isn't a story that I could have written for myself. This isn't a story that I could have pieced together. And like, I felt a call to worship ministry in seventh grade. And now in my senior year of college, like I'm preparing for a wedding to marry a worship pastor. And so like just to see how the Lord has like made my entire story come together. Like, it's all due respect to him, and all the credit goes to him, because I could not have done it myself.
Good work, God.
Good work, God. He did good.
You did good. I think that's really sweet because like the theme of your story, it just like kept going back to like here's my yes.
Mm,
Of like, okay, well I'm a first grader in this classroom. I don't know what this means, but sure, like yeah, here's my yes. And then it's like, okay, well your friend passes away. This doesn't make sense. I have these doubts about God, but here's my yes still. And then
yeah.
you're in middle school and you get this call to ministry of like, well, I don't know what that means, but again, it was here's my yes. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to a college. I don't know how to get here,
Yeah.
but here's my yes, God. Like, you use it, and then He got you where you needed to go. And then camp was like, okay, here's my yes. And then with Carson, it was just here's my yes. Um, and I think that's just really sweet. What like a little tiny bit of faith can take. Like, here's my yes. This is so small compared to what God can do.
Right.
And then he multiplies it in like ways that you can imagine. Just as you said, like he wrote a story that you never could write.
Yep.
And it was just because you were willing to say yes to him because you knew he's a big God.
Yeah.
And I
And it
think,
also doesn't like discount the times that like there were times in my life that I said no. And there were
yes,
times in my life that it was a very hesitant yes, or
yes,
there wasn't a yes for a long time. But
yeah,
like the Lord still, like his
mhm,
plan's going to prevail. His plan is
yes,
going to be like there's nothing we can do to mess up. In my opinion, this is probably
yes,
controversial. There's nothing we can do to mess up the will of God. Like he's
right,
sovereign. And if
yep,
we have faith in a sovereign God, then his
right,
plan is going to prevail. And so
yep,
whereas, like, there are times in my life where I can confidently look
mhm,
back and say, "Yeah, I did not trust in the Lord," and that, like,
right,
he still made it
yep,
into his plan, and he
yeah,
still is providing for me even in the times that I said no.
right. It's because it's like he still cares about his children.
Right.
Like he's still like gracious, like he's big and sovereign, but he's also like gracious and loving and kind.
Yeah.
And so when we are just like so afraid and our yeses are no's for a long time,
Yeah.
I also found like whenever I say no to something and I know I should say yes, but I say no because I don't want to, I don't feel like it, I'm scared or
Right.
something, he literally like jerks me back and I'm like, yeah, that was my fault.
Like, sorry. Check it.
Sorry, like I knew I should have been doing that, but I didn't want to. Um, but it is sweet that like even when we say no and even when we say maybe,
Yeah.
he still like then honors our yes. It's not like he's like,
Well, you said the no the
"Oh,
first
you
time.
said no the first time," or
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, it's about time." It's
Like,
just
"Oh,
like,
you're ready to listen now? Okay, cool."
yes,
Offers
it's
off
just
the
like
table.
so gracious,
Yeah.
which is like a testament to who he is and his
Yeah.
character, and that's really sweet.
Absolutely.
Um, And what I also was thinking when you're talking is like the sweetness of you meeting Jesus in a classroom,
Mm,
and now that's what you get to do.
yes. Yeah. That's like
Because of
one of my biggest I love telling that part of the story because like yes, I went to a Christian school and so that door was automatically open. But it's like how many times will I as a public school educator have the chance to sit on the floor with somebody
Mhm.
and especially in like younger grades. Like how often will I have the chance to while I can't verbally speak Jesus into that classroom like sometimes all it takes is getting down on the ground and being the hands and feet of Jesus and showing a kid like you are loved, seen, and valued. And while you may not feel that at home, you're going to feel that the second that you walk into my classroom. Whether you drive me crazy or you're my favorite student, like you're
Right.
going to know that you're loved because it's not a love that I can offer you, but it's an unconditional love that I can point you to the one who does love me. And I
Gosh.
think that love, when I understand how much he loves me, it's going to automatically overflow into my classroom. And so, whereas a lot of people wouldn't consider like public education ministry, I absolutely do. We are coming in contact with kids who may never have heard the name of Jesus or who hear the name of Jesus at home and it's not lived out. And so, how much more of an example does that give us, or more of a mission field when we're coming in contact with kids every single day who do not know who Jesus is? And while we can't openly say it, like, how much more should that give us an excuse to live
Right. Gosh, that's so good. I literally have chills.
it?
Because that really is what like it was like, wait, that's so sweet. She met Jesus in a classroom and then now she gets to go and like be Jesus for people that
Yeah,
either don't see it lived out as you said or don't even know who he is.
right.
Um It's just, like, so sweet and full circle, I feel like, of just, like, on the hard days when we remember we have a purpose that's bigger than
Yeah,
ourselves or bigger than teaching the 1st grade math or bigger than teaching the 2nd grade, like, getting ready for map testing, like,
yeah,
whatever it is, it's like, "Okay, well, these kids are driving me actually crazy right now," but then it's like, "Oh, wait, this is bigger than myself." And I feel like
yeah,
that just, like, makes so many things easier. Even, like, when I'm, like, walking at school and I'm like, "I do not wanna be in this classroom, like, I don't wanna go to this class, I hate this class, I don't wanna do this test, I don't wanna do this homework."
yeah.
And then I'm like, "Check,
You get
I'm bigger than myself, like, this is bigger than me, and if I get to be Jesus in this classroom for somebody who doesn't know Jesus,
yeah,
then that's worth it." And, like, just, like, the perspective switch.
yeah,
And I had to do that with, like, cross country in high school, like, I really don't want to go to practice today. Okay. Well, let me go to practice and start asking people how their day was and actually listen.
yeah,
And then it's like, why did Sophie care? Oh, well, it's because she has a God who cares and he also cares for me. Like
yeah,
trying to make things bigger than ourselves because they are,
yeah,
especially as believers. So that's really cool.
yeah.
That's so stinking sweet. Um, and just like that constant of the Lord, I feel like that was a conversation I had to have a lot this summer with students, was just like, I can't promise you that you're gonna go home to an easy life.
Yeah.
Like, you're not. Like, you're hearing stories that are just like harder than what you could ever imagine. And I'm like, I wish I could bottle you up and keep you safe, but I can't, but I do know who can.
Yeah.
And like having those like open hands of like, you're mine for this week, and then I'm gonna send you home.
Yeah.
Um, and like my one encouragement could be that Jesus is constant.
Yeah.
It was like, I can't promise you that your dad's gonna all of a sudden be nice to you, and I can't promise you that your mom's gonna be healed from her sickness, and I can't promise you that your sister's gonna stop doing this.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you that like Jesus is constant,
Yeah.
and when these storms come, like he does not move.
Yeah.
When there was a storm in the boat, he was asleep. Like,
Yeah.
let's be aware of like he's the one in control of this.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like a sweet reminder. And like when you said that, I was like, it's just so true. It was like something I was saying all summer, and then being like, okay, and I believe that for myself.
Yeah.
Like the same God that was a Fuge is the same God in Greenville, and the same God that Greenville's same God of Furman.
Yeah.
And that's in my life. And then like whoever's listening, it's like your life. Like that. He's the same
Yeah.
God in all of those things. He's this constant God. And it just is like hard to see sometimes. But he really is.
Yeah.
And that's a sweet thing.
Yeah. And it doesn't like you're still it doesn't negate the fact like you're still going to have hard times and you're still going to go through those
Yes.
things, but I firmly believe that a lot of the time sometimes we go through those things, it's like truly is testing your faith of like the Bible doesn't say if you go through hard times, it says when you go through hard times, and like you should count it joy when you experience hard times, not if,
Right.
because we serve a big God who we can either choose to say, okay, Lord, this is something that's really hard in my life. Like, I'm going to give it to you. Or, Lord, this is something really hard in my life, and I'm going to try and hold on as tight as I can. And I'm going to try to like control it myself. Like,
Yep.
that's not the point of life.
Yeah.
And if we miss that and we miss presenting that to other people,
Yeah.
then what are we doing?
Right.
And if I can't say, yeah, and this isn't like me, my mom is fine, but like I
Right.
can't say like my mom has cancer, so I'm gonna hold on to this as tight as I can.
Right.
Like, no, your lifestyle is gonna be seen by other people through that time. And so if it's my mom has cancer, but our family is trusting and our family knows that the Lord is gonna provide, then like we're gonna trust in that.
Yeah.
And my mom does not have cancer. My mom is
Right.
perfectly fine.
Right.
That's just an
The
example.
example of it. Yeah. Even like when Grant died, one of my friends came to know the Lord because of how we reacted.
Yes.
And it wasn't me. Like, I was like, genuinely, she sat down and she was like, what do you, I'm like, it's not me. I'm broken. I'm lost. I'm confused. My heart is shattered on the
Yeah.
floor. But I do know this is who Jesus is.
Yep.
And being able to point it back to him, because it was in a moment where it was like, my family doesn't have it all together. My
Yeah.
family is broken. We're lost. We're scared. We're heartbroken.
Yeah.
But we do know who Jesus is, and that's this one thing. And it was just like so sweet of her to like, she was like, but there's something different. I'm like, yeah, it's Jesus.
Yeah.
It's my family's not good at grieving.
Right.
You know, this is not just easy for us,
Yeah.
but we do know who Jesus is. And so that is so true of just like people see that.
Yeah. And it's important.
Yeah. Yay! This was so fun. Thanks for sharing. I think that's just a sweet reminder of like we can serve the Lord in whatever capacity we are in.
Yeah.
And like what does it look like for us to give our yes, even when we say no and maybe and wait so many times. He still like honors those yeses, and so like what does that look like? And I think that's just like super easy for us to grab onto and then like walk out in our life. Like, how can I say yes to Jesus today?
Yeah. Like it
Like, I
doesn't have
mean,
to be you don't have to have your whole life planned out.
you
Like
know,
when I said yes to ministry, I literally did not know what it was going to look like. But I
mm,
couldn't explain to you the peace that I felt with the
yep,
yes. And
yep,
I was like, why do I have so much peace in something that I don't know what it's going to look like? Why do I have so much peace in like when I don't know the future?
mm,
But it may take 1 year, it may take 10 years, it may take 25 years for like it to become evident to when you said yes, like for the Lord to show you why. And
right,
you honestly, like there may be times in your life you may never know why. I
right,
think back to my friend that passed away. Like she may never understand, or she may have not understood why she had to die. But I think back to the fact of like she to me is the definition of childlike faith. I remember at the age of 9 being like, I want to believe like she does. I want to believe in the Lord and have as much faith and as much peace in who God is and his provision and his plan as much as she does. And then I look back, what, 12 years removed, and see nothing but the Lord's hand and how many people have come to know him and how many kids have like had peace and had hope in the fact that like, oh, like she had a different type of healing, like an eternal type of healing. But like if that happens to me, like that's okay. And like
Right.
just to see how many lives have been changed from that is like she doesn't know the impact she had, because at the end of the day, she's full on dancing with the king. And
Right.
Lord, can't we all wait to be there? But it's like she doesn't know the impact she had, and
Right.
that's okay.
Yep.
Because what what the Lord has done is not lesser than because you don't know what happens.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's it's not about us. And it's not about what we understand or about what we do, but it's about the Lord's bigger and better picture. And all we have to do is say yes in the little moments.
Gosh, that's so good. I'm just gonna like listen to this back and take notes. Notes from Lily. Oh, did we say that we call each other Lily and Fifi at
No,
the
we
beginning?
didn't. I thought about that at the
Dang
beginning.
it.
This is my Fifi.
This is my Lily. I don't know where it came up. We were walking up
She
to a
just came up to me one day and she was like, "You're my Lily." And I said, "What?" And she was like, "I'm gonna call you Lily. I need a nickname for you. You're gonna be my Lily." I said, "Fine, then you're my Fifi."
it was perfect
It
because it
worked.
was like I didn't want a nickname that everyone else had because
Right.
we're real life friends too.
Right.
Then I was like I could whip out things from Lauren, but like Lily just kind of came to my mind, and I'm like, she's my Lily,
It's so
and it
unique.
doesn't really make sense,
Right.
but it like makes enough sense that it's fine.
Right. Like it's okay. No
So
one needs to know. No one
no,
has to understand it.
and then Fifi, like obviously it's from the Sophie, but
Yeah.
like it's still just random. Like I've never been called Fifi before, and I love it.
It's just
Uh,
amazing. So if you're watching this, no, you do not have permission to call her Fifi. Like I call her. No one has permission to call me Lily.
you can know that we call each other Lily and Fifi, but you
But
can't do
you
anything about
can't be a part of
it.
it.
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks for coming on
Thank you for letting
and
me.
sharing your testimony. It's really sweet. And it's been sweet to watch the Lord use you. And I just can't wait for you to be your wife.
I know. I can't wait either.
That is just like kind of consuming my brain.
No,
I'm
it's
gonna,
kind of consuming my brain too. And
yeah, I
all that happens is I stare at my hand like this like all day.
bet.
And when I'm driving, like I'm
Yep.
left-handed. So everyone was like, "You like have a reason to be permanently left-handed." I was like, "Girl, I was left-handed before. Now I just have a reason to flash it."
Right.
And
You were
now
like talking earlier and I was like, look at that ring.
the sun like hits the diamond and it like blinds me. And I'm like, "Oh," I'm like, "What a good problem to have."
Oh, I'm about to be a wife.
I'm gonna be a whole life. All
That's so
the
sweet.
state, and that's literally all we have planned. But I'm like, "Hey,
That's sweet.
we're gonna figure it out as we go."
Yeah. And that can be fun.
Yeah,
Make
we're
it fun.
excited. We're excited.
Well, I love you.
I love you.
And thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you next week. Bye.